Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kenda Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind and forward-moving spouse with a bomb drop of November 2nd, 2022, a date of marriage of 2011, and she has a clinging boomerang who is a low-energy wallower. She says, my MLCer was at home for 10 months. He finally moved out in early September. Since he's been out of the house, he's been very depressed, telling the kids that he cries at night because he misses them so much. He refuses to sleep in his bed and falls asleep on the couch every night, and he looks exhausted. I'm going to assume you mean the couch at his new place. But if that's at your house, that might be different. Okay. He has been a horrible monster, and this has been the worst monstering since bomb drop. However, 3 weeks ago, he told me he was heartbroken, sad, and that maybe our family could be back together again. He gave me a 5-minute hug, and we didn't make any decisions at that point. Since then, he's only come by the house every day to just hang out or have dinner. He asked if he could stay the night last Saturday, and he did. We ended up being physically intimate, but he has not withdrawn since then. Since it's only been a year since bomb drop, could this be a first awakening, according to Heart's Blessing? Or is this a touch and go or a reconnection? Should we continue to be physically intimate? Okay, so first thing, I don't think it's an either or. If he's having an awakening, why couldn't it also be a reconnection? I think that it's very likely that they reconnect when they have that first awakening, or when they have an awakening. Remember, an awakening is I realize what I just did, all of the destruction. Then it's the oh shit moment. Then it's the now I want to hide. Then the now I want to hide, that's the liminality. So I think what you're recognizing is that he is in the awakening, not the now I want to hide part. And if he's having an awakening and coming home toward you, or in a positive cycle towards you, with the awakening, because of the awakening, doesn't mean it's not a touch and go or reconnection. Okay. You could even, in those situations, have an awakening be a kind of reconnection. So it's not that it's the same thing, because not all reconnections are going to be awakenings. And not everybody's going to reconnect. If you have a vanisher, they might stay vanished. Okay. Should you continue physical intimacy? First thing, is there an alienator? If there's an alienator, you probably think she's gone, and she might not be. Or she's gone for now, and he thinks she's gone. So he's maybe honest in that. But that's not how these sort of things work, if there's been limerence at least. So next, if he's in a midlife crisis, you're asking this because you're aware that, well, it's only been a year. Yay! I mean, good signs, but it's only been a year. What's coming next, since MLC gets worse before it gets better? You're asking the right questions. Should you continue physical intimacy? It is great to build a bond. It helps build a foundation. It gets the chemicals going between the two of you. I love that. Is it going to be cake eating? Cake eating is often when there really is someone else. And he could be cake eating, but there's times where you let him have a taste of cake. When I put a stop to cake eating, I mean a hard stop, hey, this is a problem, was 3 years in, when he was taking advantage. He wanted to have a wife in the kitchen, a whore in the bedroom. He told me, I'll just leave you in the morning and come back at night. I'll leave her at night and come back in the morning, because neither of you are going to stop. You will be neither of you telling me no. Blah, blah, blah. That's cake eating. So, do you need that reconnection? What does it mean to you? Are you going to get stuck in the physical intimacy? Is it going to bring too much hope to you? Is it going to crash you when, if this is a midlife crisis, this is his awakening, he has to go down into liminality, so he crashes into that, so the physical intimacy stops, or the projection, the monster continues or returns? I don't want you putting any promises into this physical intimacy. If you can handle it, yeah, temper it. In other words, if he wants to, and he initiates, and he wanted it twice a week, don't go as often. Be a little bit more aloof in it, not during. I love building physical intimacy. And it's bonding, it's positives. But if you're going to get hurt because of it, if you're going to put mixed messages and meanings into it, it can be dangerous as well. If it's a doormatting thing, if he feels that he's using you, if you feel that you're being used, it can be a bad thing. So I want you to weigh all of those before deciding, yes, we are going to continue to be physically intimate. If there's an alienator, I would just say no. If there has been an alienator within the last week, I would say no. Oh, but she's gone now. If there's an alienator in the last 4 weeks, I would say, you know, I think we should have waited a little bit longer till we continue this. Can we give ourselves a little bit more time and a window? Next, probably an awakening, probably a reconnection. In other words, not exiting midlife crisis. It's only been a year. You know it's 3 to upwards of 7. You still put it out there. Well, you know, it is so lovely that you think we should be back together and would like to, or think we can. What do you think needs to be done about that? How do we accomplish that? Because counseling's got to come into it. I'm telling you, he may not be ready for that. That's one of your little litmus tests you give him. Okay, well, we need to go to counseling. Now, he may be so desperate. What if we did go now? Doesn't mean it's going to work, because he still has this crash. He still has things happening. Doesn't mean you should or shouldn't go. You go prepared if you do. But you can put out a litmus test and then you go anyway. In other words, if he refuses, you go. You be an example. When he really is ready to work through everything, counseling will be valid. I'm not saying it works or not. You have to have a skilled counselor. But his willingness to not just go to appease you, but to go, is a test of his readiness, of his being ready to exit or exited, having already done the tunnel, to do actual repair work. He's probably, as you know, since this is an awakening and he goes into depression, liminality after this, you know he doesn't have the capacity to do that repair work. It's still that touch and go, that reconnection. I like what you're building here. But he has been monstering. You said this is the worst monstering. So let's go over a little bit of why. He's been very depressed. He's a low energy wallower. He's very angry. His anger is under the surface, and he stamps it down with his depression. Okay? But he had some serious monstering. He was probably starting to awaken then and get mad at himself. And he looks at you. He looks at the kids. It's a reminder. You are a reminder of my sins. But then, of course, if I'm not with you, I'm continuing to commit my sins, because that's an abandonment. But if I see you, I'm triggering the memory of what I've done, and there's a cascade going on. And this is keeping him in his depression, because it's just worse and worse. And this is the snowball that propels him downhill into liminality. So he may be monstering some more. Or when he's monstering, he's especially angry at himself. But he has to project it somewhere. And there's memories. Just looking at you. Looking at your hurt. Even if you're not showing it, you're a reminder. If you're nice, you're a reminder. If you're mean, you're a reminder. Why are you being so nice to me? All of those. Because it's not about you, and it's not your fault. So I want you to weigh everything before you determine whether you continue to have sex with him. It's a great thing. If you can do it, if you can not get yourself caught up in the meaning and, hey, that was a promise. If you can do that, if there's not an alienator and STD's coming in, or he's limerent for somebody else, or he's just stringing 2 women along, or 5, whatever, then yeah, you can do it. You have to be able to hold it. You have to be able to remain detached. And detached doesn't mean you don't have an attachment bond as well, but there's an emotional detachment. There's an understanding that he's not through this, and that for right now, even if he says so in words, sex doesn't have the same promises that it might have at other times. He's still in a crisis. Okay? I hope this is helpful. And I will see everybody in the next question.